Absolutely insane lore update. Hi, my name is Liv. I'm an independent author, and next week I'll have an update about my actual book. But today, I mean, you've seen the title. I'm getting published on Neopets in the year of our Lord 2026. It's honestly, it's so random. So I used to write for the Neopian Times kind of regularly. It was under, I had like, okay, I need to give y'all a little bit of backstory on this. So when I was in middle school, I had like 3 separate like alter egos that I would alternate playing Neopets as. Like I'd go like 6 months on this one account, go 6 months on another account. And these were all like characters I had made up for books. And I just like played as them because it was cooler than being like, myself. And I also had an account as myself. And it was kind of insane. I was a really weird autistic child, okay? Like, so, and I wrote for the Neopian Times. Well, I started writing for the Neopian Times, trying to, in like 5th grade. And I would just keep writing stuff. And it took me a while to be able to write stuff that was long enough at first, because you know, now I have a problem writing things that are short enough. Now I have a problem writing things that are too long to be actual books. But, that's, yeah. And then the things I wrote just weren't good. We'll get to that. The things I wrote were not good. And Neopets kept rejecting them and rejecting them and rejecting them. And then finally, when I was in the 6th grade, almost exactly 19 years ago this month, I finally got accepted into the Neopian Times. And it was on my pen name account. It was on one of my alter ego accounts. And I'm not going to tell you the account name. I'm not going to tell you the name of the story, because the things I published back then were bad. They were very bad. Like, I don't know how they got accepted, because they were bad. And I published on one other alter ego account, because I wanted to write about different characters. And for some reason I was like, I can't write about these different characters on my other account. And then I, at one point, did like a collab between both of my fake accounts. So like it says like collaboration between these 2 people. They're both me. Because like I said, I was weird. The last time I published something, I remember like I published a few things between like 2007, 2008. I published, or was it just the one? I don't know. And then like between like 2010, 2011, I published a few things. I did like a couple articles. I did a couple short series. I know I did a short story. And the last thing I published was 2012. And I remember because I was on my student ambassador trip to Australia when it all went live. So I was like not around the internet to like look at, and I was also like around people who were also 16 or 17, 18. And I was the only weirdo that still actively played on Neopets at the time, I'm pretty sure, of that whole group. So I couldn't just be like, hey guys, look at my story. Like I couldn't like brag about it, because like then I have to explain what Neopets is. But yeah, and then later that summer I just completely like consolidated all my accounts. Like I sent like all the items to a singular brand new account that I made at the end of summer 2012. And I was like, this is gonna be my main account from now on, and everything I do I'm gonna do on here. And the obviously I couldn't move over like avatars and trophies and stuff, and I didn't want to go through the trouble of explaining to Neopets that like all these 3 other accounts are also me. So I was just like, whatever, I'm just gonna send the items to myself and start from scratch, get avatars from scratch, all that. But I never published anything to the Neopian Times on that account. And I think I was a little nervous to start submitting stuff from it, because I was like, they're gonna think I'm plagiarizing because I've tried to submit these things on my previous accounts. And so I just kind of like fell off of that aspect of Neopets. So like at the end of high school, I just kind of fell off of Neopets and being on there as much. And then like in like my early 20s, I kind of got back into it for a little bit, and then fell back out of it again. And then like a year or so after I graduated from university, I just like needed something to make me feel joy again, and I was like, I'm gonna get back into Neopets, and I did. And it's just been like a little back of the mind comfort thing for me ever since then. I go on it every now and, well, I go on it pretty much every day to like do like the daily stuff, and it's like I have fun with it. And so that was like back 2022, I think I made my full comeback to Neopets. You still using that same account I made in 2012 because I'm like, I ain't starting over again. That's just not happening. Oh, it might have been 2020 actually, because I remember yes, it was 2020 that I started to come back because I beat my high score on Hannah and the Pirate Caves, because I downloaded a whole workaround to make, this is a whole separate rant about Hannah and the Pirate Caves and how that is the best game ever and they need to bring it back because the workarounds don't work anymore to make the Flash player work, and it's just a whole thing. But that was my COVID thing, was I went back on, like everybody going back on Webkins, back on Toontown, whatever. I was like, I'm going back on Neopets. But I didn't like really get into it until 2022. Okay, there's your backstory, all right? At the end of 2023, Neopets announced that they're gonna have their 1000th issue of the Neopian Times, and you know, if you submit something and you get in, you're gonna get special prizes, and like, it was a whole thing. And I was like, I will be damned if I am not gonna try to submit something to the 1000th issue of the Neopian Times. But I was like, what in the world do I have saved on my computer still that is usable? Because the answer was not much. But then I remembered there was one thing I hadn't tried to submit on any of my alter ego accounts yet because I hadn't finished typing it into my computer. This is a story that I remember vividly. It was standardized testing my sophomore year of high school, spring 2011. I would like breeze through the, not breeze through the test, but I would, you know how like students nowadays just like click through the test? I couldn't do that because in 2011 we had pencil and paper, but I was just like, I haven't picked C in a while, because I just straight up did not know math, and so I was like, I'm not even gonna try, and I would just breeze through the standardized test so I could turn it in and go back to my notebook and write this story for Neopets. And it was one of 2 stories I had ever in my life written since I made the switch from typing all my stories to, from, like, I used to handwrite my stories in elementary school, and then I started typing them in middle school and could never go back to just handwriting them. Only 2 times in my life did I ever write something and at no point while I was writing it think, I want to change this, this, and this, and this, and go back and all that, on a handwritten story. But of course, like, as I was typing it into my computer later that, like, same spring, I was like, no, actually, I want to change this as I'm going and this as I'm going. But I never finished typing it. And I'm going to be real honest with y'all. Not only was it 15 years ago, but 2011 was literally the worst year of my entire life. So I don't have many strong memories from 2011. What I am predicting happened was that I had started typing it up and then got involved with theater camp, which then absolutely nuked my will to live. And long story, that's the whole, that particular summer was just I'm just gonna leave it at that sound effect. So I just gave up on typing it, and I'm thinking it was during the summer that I started to type it into my computer so I could end up submitting it to Neopets, because I would take this notebook, yes, I have the notebook, I would take this notebook to theater camp with me, and use it for stuff at theater camp. So there might be some stuff written in here about certain people that I had to interact with that summer, that there might be things written about people that are unbecoming of a child of God. But this was originally just for that Neopets story, which is why I have it, because when I was packing up notebooks from my bedroom at my mom's house to move out here in the summer after I graduated university, I saw this and I was like, I never finished typing up that Neopets story, did I? Well, one day I might want to, so I'm gonna take this with me. And so there I am, realizing I have the perfect thing to submit to the 1000th issue of the Neopian Times. So I finished typing that up. I go back through the whole thing, make several changes because I'm like, I wrote this when I was 15. And I submit it and they did not want it. So I submitted it again thinking, okay, I won't get into the 1000th issue, but I can still get into an issue. And I have no idea when I submitted it. It might have been at the beginning of 2025. It might have been sometime in 2024. But in January of this year, they sent me a message saying, hey, we didn't like your story. And I'm like, when was the last time I tried to submit it? I have no memory of when that was. But I was like, you know what? Just for fun, I'm gonna submit it again. And it turns out 3rd time's the charm, because it just got accepted. And I will link below. I don't know when the next issue of the Neopian Times is coming out, because I don't do it weekly anymore. I think it seems kind of bi-weekly from what I've like, I don't know. I've tried to figure it out, because I know at some point it was like monthly and then it was bi-weekly, and I don't know. It used to be weekly when I was first getting into it. It's not anymore. So whenever it comes out, I will link it in the description box so you can read it. The story is called Things Change, and I know by doing this, I'm now doxing my Neopets account. It's Purple Pineapple XX. Or is it XX Purple Pineapple? I don't know. 2012 was a weird time. I'm not changing my username again. I'm not remaking my whole account again. So we're stuck with Purple Pineapple, wherever the X's are. And I just vibe, okay? But yeah, it's called Things Change, and I thought I would talk about it since I happen to have the notebook right here. And then I realized when I was doing my reading my old writing video at my mom's house at the end of last year, I was looking for a notebook that had a bunch of Neopets stories in it that I tried to write in the 5th grade. And apparently I took it to Delaware with me for whatever reason. So that's gonna be a whole separate video going through this one. But yeah, we're just, yeah, okay. But I thought I would talk to y'all about Things Change. I changed the names of these characters because I was using these names for something else. There were originally 2 or 3 planned sequels. And it was like following the character through like the rest of school, and or like following the character through like the year after the events of this story, and then she would have like a job, and there'd be some drama there, and that would be the last one would be like her like running away and starting a new life after things went horribly wrong at that job. So I kind of low-key predicted my own future in 2011. Just kidding. Definitely not anywhere, like, I mean, like, there were some similarities to the plot line, but not nearly enough for me to say I predicted my future. All of the titles were named after songs by the band One True Thing, which, if you know them, then we need to become best friends, because I don't think I've ever met another person who had already heard of them without me explaining who they were. They had 1 song or 2 songs on the Nickelodeon 2003 Kids' Choice Awards mixed CDs that you would get in cereal boxes. I rediscovered this old mixed CD in the spring of 2011. You see the timelines adding up here. And looked on iTunes to see what other songs this band had, because I was like, I really love the song Everything I Am. And I found an album, and I was like, this album doesn't look like it belongs on the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards mixtape, but I'm gonna click on it anyway, and it was the same band, and I found, even on YouTube, I found some of their unreleased and demo tracks. As an adult with adult money, I ordered their OG demo CD, and their like original, like actual fully released CD, despite already having all the songs from iTunes. But I fell in love with that band. They are, to this day, whenever people ask me who my favorite band is, I always say One True Thing, because I am so sad that I was 8 years old when they were touring well, not touring, but like playing at bars in New York, and I was 8 years old living in California, so I've never seen them live. I was genuinely obsessed with them back then, and like, it's a very depressing album, and 2011 was a very depressing year for me. And so like, they just always have a special place in my heart. They got me through very hard times, but one of their songs is called Change. And there's a lyric, and I originally put like actual lyrics from the One True Thing songs in here, but when I was going through it to resubmit it for the 1000th issue, I was like, I am not playing a copyright game. I don't want to risk anything, so I changed the words, and they sound so, forgive me, I teach high school, they sound so chopped, but I'm just like, I can't risk the copyright. So now you know, when you read the lyrics to those songs, those are chopped up One True Thing songs. But yeah, this one was named after their song Change, because there's the lyric that I originally quoted was, I don't even know your name, but I wanted to tell you things change. And if you listen to the song, it was very topical for 2011 Live. So we're gonna brush past that. But I basically, while I was going through my period of being insanely depressed, I was very nostalgic for like a simpler time in my life. And I remember one of my best friends from 5th grade, who like I hadn't spoken to probably since 5th grade, was in my English class that year. And the whole year I kept thinking like, I would love to reconnect with her. Her name was Julie. I'll just, she's not like, she didn't do anything bad in the story, so I'll just use her real name. Her name was Julie. And I was just like, I want to reconnect with Julie. I feel like if I could reconnect with her and get this piece of my past, like it would make my life come together again. And just my life was so good back then. And you know, we're in the same English class. Why can't I just talk to her? Like, why are things like, yeah, things in middle school were messy with our whole friend group, but whatever, like I should try to reconnect with her. And I ended up like shooting my shot, so to speak. When I signed her yearbook, I was like, hey, like I would love to reconnect with you and hang out, like I miss the good old days. I forget exactly what I said, and then she signed mine Hags. So that's exactly how that went. But I was so nostalgic for the 5th grade, and I always would think back, like throughout middle school and high school, there was always like this one moment of 5th grade where it was like, this is where everything changed, where everything went wrong. And that's why, like, it was like the canon event that like set off everything that happened for our friend group in middle school and all of that. And it was our trip to science camp, which I would call it more like nature camp, outdoor school, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know why it was called science camp, because there was very little science going on there. But our trip to science camp was the canon event. And I just always was reflecting on this trip to science camp. And I thought, I am going to write a Neopets story about a friend group that goes to science camp and just chaos ensues. And I actually took bits and pieces of this and put it into, well, when we eventually get to my series that I'm going to be focusing on after University Story, I will tell you how actually parts of this got incorporated into that, which was something I started writing as an adult. Which is something I started writing in college, but parts of this storyline did get incorporated into that. It's not similar enough that like, if you read this, you don't need to read the story, or you know, it's not similar enough that like, if you read this, you don't need to read the actual, that book when it comes out. But there's just bits and pieces that I used from that. And yeah, I was so into this story. And I'm sorry, I just opened to this page. It says, behind the scenes, the songs I quoted were Changed by One True Thing, Believe by One True Thing. Still like in my top 10 songs ever. And then the Degrassi The Next Generation theme song, I'm pretty sure I cut that part out, because I was like, I don't remember how I explained like the origins of that song. I'm pretty sure I just quoted the line, whatever it takes. I'm pretty sure I cut that out. I haven't reread the story since I typed it up in 2023, so I just kept submitting it. So, but yeah, and then let's see. I have an author's note. My first entry, wow, because I was planning to submit this, I guess, on like, I don't know, like there's no way, because I hadn't made my new account yet, so I guess I was planning to submit this on the account that I hadn't submitted anything on yet. Because remember I had 3 alter egos and myself. I don't know, my first entry, wow, I've been trying to write my masterpiece since I first joined Neopets on my old account in 2004. When I finished draft 1 of this in my notebook without thinking, when I type this up, I know I'll change this part. I knew this was the one I was going to submit. The title comes from a song by my favorite band. If there is a sequel, it will be called You Were the Reason. Actually, I was gonna call it, After All, You Were the Reason I Ran Away. Or something like that, from Wish I Was Everything by One True Thing. Again, like that song ends up on my Spotify Wrapped almost every year. Oh my gosh. Dedicated to my real life Stitches. I named some of the characters after Animal Crossing characters. I think Stitches is one of the ones that I kept when I typed it up. But Stitches is my boo in Animal Crossing, the only man I will ever need in my life. I am a lesbian except for Stitches from Animal Crossing. But when I wrote this, I thought I was straight, so dedicated to my real life Stitches. Sometimes things change, in which I was referencing that this guy I had been obsessed with since middle school would one day like me back, because he was my one true love, and just, we don't need to talk about straight live. I was drafting, okay, so this was actually for a completely different series. It's a book called We Meet Again, and I guess I completely scrapped that, because there were originally going to be 15 chapters of that, and I just never named them. But that was like for a completely different series, nothing to do with Neopets. I know I took this notebook to theater camp with me, so I don't know what else is in here, but I figured I'd flip through it real quick and just see. This is me passing notes with my friend. I don't know if this was us actually passing notes or if this was me telling, like, giving her a script kind of being like, I'm gonna pass these notes, and then my crush is gonna accidentally find them. But this is from school. This is not from theater camp, because that's Ileana's handwriting. Oh no, oh, this is a pretend passing notes, because we're pretending that it's freshman year of high school, and I'm talking about the guy I was dating at the time. Anyway, this is a star, and it says, "Tu es un super idiot." And if you don't speak French, that says you are a super idiot. I don't know who that was for. This, okay, so at theater camp, some minor lore. I can't fully get into the lore of what this is, but basically my theater camp director wanted me to use my writing talents to contribute to the variety show he was putting together, and he wanted me to write a narration to introduce one of the acts. And I fully, like, this show was so cringe. The theme was supposed to be like the life of teenagers in 2011. It was so cringe. I was trying, like, I thought, like, because the director had written good things in the past. Like, he was very talented with writing. Like, the variety show was not a representation of his writing talent, okay? And I remember I was like, I am going to save this man's reputation by playing this whole thing off as satire. But not everybody got that memo. So I was like trying to like make it seem like it was satire. So I wrote this stupid narration. So I wrote this stupid narration for my friend Kristen and me to do, because he said I could pick who did the narration with me. So I was like, okay, well, Kristen's my homegirl. Kristen was like my best friend at theater camp. So I was like, okay, well, it's gonna be the two of us. Totally not related to Neopets at all. We got into a huge fight before one of the shows and didn't talk for like a month after. And we still had to do this narration together, and it was so awkward. But anyway, and I just turned the page and I saw something not only unbecoming of a child of God, but just my eyes did not need to see that in the year of our Lord 2026. So that's just, we're gonna turn the page. I wrote something about, okay, so I'm not gonna say what was on that page, but let's just say I had a crush on this guy, and I also hated him because he was like ruining my life. And that's as much as I'm gonna elaborate on that. So I wrote something about him that I did not want to see in 2026. And these pages are blank. And this on the back. Oh, I was like trying to get Kristen's attention, but I couldn't. We like the director was talking to us, so I was like trying to basically pass her a note. So I just wrote this in my notebook and showed it to her, and I was like, "Look who's sitting by the whiteboard." And I was like, "It's this guy that we used to know who didn't come back from the previous summer." I'm like, "Do you think it's him?" And that's all that's in there. Okay, that's not as traumatizing as I thought it was gonna be after the Neopets stuff, but still saw things I did not need to see in 2026. So I think a lot of things actually got ripped out of this notebook, and yeah, because there's definitely not 70 pages in my hands right now. But yeah, that was the backstory on Things Changes. It was something that I wrote because I was nostalgic for a time in my life where it was like basically the time right before everything went wrong, and then I was like, if I can just write the story of like rewrite the story of everything going wrong and like make it different. It wasn't like, because I did in the past attempt to like rewrite the story of everything going wrong and like turn that into a Neopet story, like the actual events that happened. This was more like, yes, it takes place at the science camp, but there's a completely different plot going on. And yes, there's like similar events happen at the science camp, but it goes in a different direction. And I'm not gonna give like spoilers like that, but there's a character named Stitches, now you know. And I think I kept that name. I don't know, but yeah, that's my story of getting published on Neopets in the year of our Lord 2026. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a video. Well, next week will be my Lost and Found update, because I will hopefully be able to announce my release date. I don't think I'll have a cover reveal, because I'm like assuming I got the files fully in order this weekend. I still don't think I'll have a proof copy ready to show y'all. Like, I highly doubt I'll have a proof copy ready to show y'all by next weekend. Just because Ingram Spark takes a bit with shipping, and I also don't know if I'm gonna get the final files in a row this weekend ready to upload and all that. I just don't know if that's in the cards for this weekend. But I am gonna give an update next weekend on the status of that. And then after that will either be the cover reveal, like this will either be in the order of cover reveal Neopets video or reverse order Neopets video cover reveal slash release date announcement slash pre-order link live. But I am at some point going to do a video going through some of my old Neopets stories that I tried to write in the 5th grade. I don't think the first one I ever wrote is in here. The first one I tried to write was called Journey Beyond the Jungle Gym, and I wrote it like in the Neopets document editor, like, so I have no record of it saved anywhere because I just submitted it directly into the submission form, and they were like, this sucks, you're 8 years old, do not even try to do this again. And that's not exactly what they said, but it was implied. But I have no record of that. And then the first one I remember writing was, oh, never mind, it's in here. It's called Absolutely Squirrely. This might be a second draft of Absolutely Squirrely. We'll get to that when I make this video. But yeah, that is that on that, and I will see y'all next time I make a video. Read my Neopets stories, send me some fan mail on Neopets. I can't advertise on Neopets that I also write actual books and have one coming out later this year. So if you liked my writing in the Neopian times that is mostly from 2011, maybe you'll like something else that I wrote, but I can say that here. So if you are here because you read the Neopian times, you read Things Change, and you wanted to know who was behind that story, here I am. I have one actual book published right now and another on the way. So welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. So thank you for watching, and I will see y'all next time I make a video. Bye.